Scourge pop out for July any second now. And the first Scourge comes out and immediately picks off one of the two Seres of Best's, and another pair of Scourges now chasing the second Ser away. And I wouldn't be surprised to see +1 defense, air defense on those Scourges from July to deny the Protoss the air superiority. Now the Protoss player Best pushing out with 5 Zealots and a Dragoon. I wouldn't be surprised if we'd see speed range upgrade for the Zealots, although I haven't seen the Forge spinning, so perhaps not. But he has put down the Citadel of Iron. I haven't yet seen a Templar Archives for him, so I can only assume that he's going to be trying to get the speed up. July doesn't have much in the way of defense. He has actually managed to put up a Hydralisk down as well. He's putting a Sunken down. He's produced a few Hydralisks and Zerglings, and I think July's going to probably try and set up a contain here and force Best back a little bit. And I think July could be quite effective if he can get some lurkers out to set up a contain. And Best looks like now he's got speed upgraded Zealots, so indeed that's exactly what he was going for. But July anticipated it. He's got more than enough in terms of defense to be able to. And July's putting another expansion down at the at this 5 o'clock Natural Expo, and I think that's a wise move by July, because Best really hasn't got a lot to really push hard, and Best has now got DTs out. Best now with DTs, so the Templar Archives obviously had gone up for Best, but the problem for Best is because July's got those Scourges and he's denying his opponent air superiority. But the difficulty for July is going to be defending that expansion at the 5 o'clock Natural Expo. Best is obviously going to get his DT down there. July's got an Overlord there as well, so July anticipating Best's every move. July is reading his Protoss opponent as if he was not only an open book but an open comic book with obvious pictures. He doesn't even need to read the text. July now going in with bunches of Zerglings and Lurkers coming in. 3 Lurkers from July trying to close in and set up that contain. Best meanwhile with that Templar Archives obviously has got those High Templar out, so he should be able to try and break out this contain sooner rather than later. July now with Jones ferrying across to that Natural Expo at the 5 o'clock position, and July now positioned Lurkers. Best running through with Zealots and Dragoons. He's run past the Lurker contain before July could really set it up effectively to try and make a push to take down, and I think that's a clever move by Best. He realizes that he needs to take this expansion down no matter what. July's got a decent number of Zerglings there, but it's not going to be enough against the Zealot Dragoon for the Zealots as well as the DTs, so July's going to need to send some reinforcements in, and I don't really see any reinforcements. So July looks like he might be trying to send some reinforcements in, and July's going to have to micro really hard here and buy himself some time. Best now still is in that base. He is focusing down on that hatchery. July trying to use his Zerglings and micro to the best of his ability, and he's now sending reinforcements down. And actually, July is actually going to hold this defense here, because I don't think Best has got enough units. Even though he's killed off most of the Zerglings, I don't think he's got enough units to take this hatchery down before July's reinforcements arrive. July now sending bunches of Zerglings and drones. This is going to be really close here. If Best can take this expansion down, it's going to make all the difference. Now July's units arrive. Best is having with that expansion. That expansion is going to get taken down. Actually, Best is going to just get the last blow, and Best just kills the expansion. That was critical. That was absolutely critical. That could be the maneuver that decides the game in Best's favor. Meanwhile, Best's Forge and Gateway are coming under attack. Best now has got the robotics facility down. He's now going into heavy macro mode, building about 4 more gateways. He's getting his observatory out as well. But July is still going to have a decent number of forces to try and strengthen his contain. And I think the key here for July is going to be down to his Scourge micro, whether he can use the Scourges to pick off those observers as they come out. Best now trying to do some scouting with his Ser. July's got lots of units around that. Best has got about 4 or 5 or 6 High Templar there that have been building energy for some time, and that is going to work in his favor. But it is going to take him a little bit of time to build up the ground forces he needs to support those High Templar. And now Best with another scouting Corsair. Looks like he's decided to sacrifice his Corsair, because there's no way that... And July looks like he's decided to not set up the contain. He's pulling his forces back. I'm surprised he's doing that. Maybe he feels that he would... If Best made a one big push, he wouldn't be able to hold against it, and then when Best finally arrived at his base, he would get taken out. So maybe that's why he's deciding to pull most of his forces back to his main and play for a more dynamic strategy. July trying to get that take that shuttle down, and July's going to be wary here, because obviously we're going to be seeing some Templar storm drops on his drones, and I think that shuttle is probably going to be the next key thing in this battle. Best has also got a couple of Corsairs to help defend that shuttle as well. July does have some Scourges positioned around the map in anticipation for this very eventuality, and Best just trying to lure those Scourges away. July doing a good job of microing his Scourges, not allowing Best to come out, and Best is still stuck in his Natural Expo. He knows that it's dangerous to venture out. He knows July has hurt him before so badly with those Scourges that Best is actually scared of venturing out, and I feel that Best has done a good job thus far. Best now pushing out with the Observer, and this is what I mean. If July had a few more Lurkers, I think he would have actually been able to hold this contain much more effectively, but I guess he felt that he didn't have enough. He's got so much army there, he's got so many forces that I felt with that a good spread out army, using the Zerglings back and forth and microing them, he would have been able to keep the contain on Best, but Best has been able to break out of that quite comfortably now, and now he's got a massive sized force, and July really needs to try and engage this in the middle of the map. He doesn't want Best getting to his expansions or getting to his Natural Expo and fighting in a choke. He's using those High Templar. July now burrowing Lurkers at his Natural Expo, but this is going to come down, I think, now to how effectively Best can storm and how effectively July can micro against it. I mean, July isn't exactly hugely famous for his ability to just macro in a cheater way out of nowhere. He is so much he's so exciting to watch in the way that he can use small number of forces. I mean, July's 2-hatch play is incredible, and he's just incredible. He's just really fun to watch when you see him micro in battles, and that's really, I think, what one of his strengths is, and I think that's going to suit him right now, because that's what it's going to come down to, how effectively he can micro against those storms. Still no drop from Best, still no storm drop from Best, so July's done a really good job at keeping it babe. July now has got that natural expo up at the 5 o'clock position. He's also got another expo up at the main at the 5 o'clock position. Best looks like, rather than trying to go on the offensive, and I guess it's understandable because he's got a much smaller force inside, July now coming with, trying to run by with the links, trying to get close in, and he's now going to try and force Best to waste a couple of storms. One storm goes off. Great micro by July with those Zerglings, really forcing Best to use up one of the storms. I don't know if he got any of the High Templar in the process. Best obviously doing a good job of keeping his High Templar alive. July obviously sending in those Zerglings on a suicide mission. Not very effective, but it's still slowing Best down, and Best looks like now he's ready to make a move. Initially it looked like he was playing a little bit more defensively, trying to get that expo at the 9 o'clock position up, and he's now going to try and pressure July and force July to defend at that 5 o'clock expo. And July's now doing a good job of trying to catch Best in the middle. Best trying to catch July's reinforcements as they come around, but he's not been able to present a united front. He doesn't want to be allow July's forces to bifurcate, to surround him from both sides, because then his storms are not going to be that effective. He wants us to present a united front with his Zealots and just spam storm, and now Best isn't effectively going to do that. July with his Zerglings, massive Zerglings getting caught on the storms as they arrive. More and more storms. Best just getting great storms all over the place, but July has got so many Zerglings, wave upon wave of Zerglings crashing down upon Best's forces like heavy rain peltering the roof, and Best is really going to struggle to, I think, hold this, because he's lost his storms, he's lost his Zealots, and now he's going to lose all of his Dragoons. And this is the key difference here. This is the key difference between July and other Zerg players. The mistake that other Zerg players might have made would have been that they might have won that battle or forced the Protoss back at the very least, but they would have allowed survivors to get away. July is not allowing any survivors. He's taking no prisoners. There's going to be no amnesty here. There's going to be no consideration. Best finally bring some Zealot, bring another force of High Templar out to rescue his last 3 or 4 Dragoons, although most of his force got wiped out with July. But July, I think, definitely came out on top of that battle, because his macro is really kicking in here. He's got a huge economic advantage, I would feel, and he's got a strong military on the ground. He's got his Hive Tech up. He's got a couple of Evo Chambers up. He's got his Defiler's Den up, and I feel that Best has taken too long, and Best really has to do something to pull this back. Best now coming in with the shuttle. It's going to get spotted by the Scourges of July's, and it's probably going to get taken down. The shuttle gets hit by one Scourge. It's now trying to get there. The shuttle is not speed upgraded, so there's no way it's going to make it, and the shuttle gets picked off just south of the 12 o'clock position in the middle of the map and goes down. And that shuttle was, I think, probably Best's last hope to equalize this game, because he needed to do some damage to July's burgeoning economy. And now July's going to be coming in with his overlords, and I feel Best can probably just feel July's crushing sumo wrestler attack on his chest, squeezing the life out of him, and he's going to get taken down very soon. July coming in with 3 overlords, and it looks like he's dropping tactically into Best's main, and you can just see the Zerg players with their eyes wide and their mouths open. They're really enjoying this. They're enjoying watching their race player, and it's nice. It's nice to have a little bit of rivalry, Zerg versus Protoss. I mean, even if you have a rivalry within Zerg versus Zerg, with Best's forces are out, and this is one of the disadvantages of Andromeda, that when your forces are out, it is difficult. It does take time to bring them all the way back in. July, meanwhile, pounding away at Best's main. He's taken out a lot of he's taken out the photon cannons, and I think he's now trying to focus on the probes and finding Best. More Scourges coming in, picks off another Corsair, and July actually had enough Zerglings in there to deal considerable damage to Best. More importantly, he's kept Best on the defensive. He's forced Best to pull back his forces. Best now chasing a couple of Overlords with his Corsairs. He needs to be careful here, because obviously July's going to bring the Scourges there, and Best walks right into a trap and is left with only 2 Corsairs. I have to say, Best's tactics haven't been sound. He didn't put... I don't know if it's the fact that Best's tactics have been relatively weak, or if it's the fact that July has just out-punked him at every single excuse me, opportunity in this matchup, because July has just lured Best into mistake after mistake, and that Corsair lure was a perfect example. I mean, Best had to know when he was chasing those Overlords that July would have Scourges backing up, coming in to take those Corsairs down, to protect those 4 Overlords. But I guess maybe he just felt that his situation was so desperate that he didn't have a choice. July's now got Ultralisk out, he's got Defilers out, he's got Zerglings out. He's now up to 6 bases to Best's 4, and Best is in huge trouble now. Now Best getting a drop off at that 5 o'clock expo with 4 Zealots. July immediately putting a couple of Sunkens down. I'm not sure if those 4 Zealots are going to be able to do enough damage, really. I don't think they're going to have time to kill the hatchery. It's just a case of whether July can micro his drones away from there and bring some reinforcements in, because those 4 Zealots are not going to be able to kill the hatchery in time to stop July's reinforcements. July now sending Zerglings in. He's also got a couple of Sunkens morphing, so I feel that this time July's defense is going to hold, although it's a nice move by Best. Best hammering away at that Actually, oh my god, I didn't think he was going to be able to take it down. The Sun Guns are up in time, and Best still manages to take it down. Wow. Wow, that's incredible. I really didn't